Well, you've walked with Marion and us and the ambassadors just a bit further up from the entrance to the Waimakariri River here, and behind us in the distance you can see the Alps, and it's all very relative if you're talking about flooding, Marion, because I mean flooding is essentially caused by excessive rain, but it's all about where that rain happens that's the key to it, isn't it?
Yeah, that's right. So most of the floods we get are because rivers get too full. So what that means for this river, for example, is that when you get the wind coming from the west, we call it a westerly, a northwesterly, that comes from the other side of the Alps, it hits the Alps and it starts to rain up in the mountains. That it might be perfectly fine down here, raining up in the mountains, and then that water comes down all the tributaries into the Waimakariri River, and it comes down here and the river rises and it can flood out of the river. And that's how it is with lots of rivers.
And so, I mean, back in the day, you know, we wouldn't have perhaps had much warning, but with technology and being able to predict weather and what can happen with weather, you're able to sort of A, get advanced warning that flooding may be happening,
Yeah.
and B, know where safe places are because you're able to map where likely areas are that will flood.
That's right. So there are the things that you can do before the flood, and councils work on working out where the river is likely to flood. So they look at where the river is and how high and where the dips are, the ground is on either side of the river, where the river's likely to break out, and then they can map out where they think that certain amount of water would cause the flooding. And then you can watch things as they start to develop, so you can watch the weather forecast, and weather warnings will come out if you're going to get those heavy periods of rain. And even, as I say, even if it's up in the hills and it's nice and fine down here, you may well know that there's been enough rain up there to cause trouble down here. And if you get into that situation, then Civil Defence would look at evacuating people from those areas that we know might get flooded beforehand. Sometimes we get caught out, and in those situations, then if possible, you're better to stay put in the house rather than get out into the deep water.
Yeah, so like you say, there's a couple of options. You can get out beforehand, or stay put. But even if you are it happens by surprise, your advice, as you said in this morning's web conference, is actually just to stay there because it can be quite dangerous being in flood water.
Yes, it can. And if you want to know whether you're in an area that is a little bit prone to flooding, where flooding happens fairly often, then the best place to look is on your council's website, and your local district council or possibly a regional council, and you'll be able to find out there whether they think that your house is in a place that's likely to flood.
It's good advice. I'm going to go and check out my council's website when I get home, actually, to make sure and see where the safe places are. You might like to do the same. Check out your local council, see where likely areas are to be flooded, just so you're a little bit more prepared, guys.